What's up, everyone? Riley here, and welcome back to Overkill Reviews. If you haven't already, make sure to check out the Patreon, give us a subscribe, give us a follow. I'm here today because you absolutely demanded it. We have seen your comments, we have seen your requests. So yes, that is right. Today, we're going to be talking about the newest Cattle Decapitation album, Terrasite, out May 12th, 2023 on Metal Blade Records. And considering the fact that we've waited this long already, I'm not even going to dick around. We're just going to get into it. Formed in 1996 from the San Diego area of California, they definitely started off as more of a cold, hard, gore grind band, but obviously as time has progressed, they've kind of morphed into a technical death metal, death grind kind of sound. I'm sure you're all familiar with the fact that they sort of started with a pro-animals, veganism stance. That's sort of also now morphed into hatred for humans, which I think is kind of fun. This new album, Terrasite, the word was actually made by vocalist Travis Ryan in his beautiful brain. Terra meaning earth, and site meaning food. So therefore, Terrasite meaning earth eater, because humans. Ruining the things. In comparison, I think the burning question in my head was, is this album going to be a copy of the last album, Death Atlas? I feel like a lot of people were conflicted about this one. Personally, Death Atlas was not my favorite. They definitely took more of a melodic approach there. They kind of simmered it down a little bit, and a lot of people were into it, but it wasn't angry enough for my own liking. And I think we all had a tendency to compare albums that are to come from Cattle Decap to ones like Anthropocene Extinction and The Monolith of Inhumanity, because those are such staples now in our brains. I'm here to tell you that Terrasite is not a copy of Death Atlas, nor is it a copy of Anthropocene Extinction. They definitely have taken it up. They've shifted the gears. This one's a little bit faster. It's a little more aggressive, but they haven't lost those feelings of melodies that they kind of sort of started to harness more when we look at the Death Atlas album. So maybe that brings you a little bit of comfort, because I think I went into this album anxious that I was going to be let down again, and I wasn't. And I'm going to tell you why and what the things were that I liked about it. So this isn't to say that we've lost all of those melodies. This album, though, is very fast, it's very violent, it's very epic, and it's got those little dollops of things that we like that are sweet and sugary. For example, Parasite Adaptation is the opener to this album, and I feel like it is the perfect, cool, nuanced opener for a brand new Cattle Decapitation album. It's got this synth-based kind of action happening that I was really hoping was played by like a sneaky little cockroach. It's fast, it's violent, it's epic, it's got a dash of nihilism, and when it slows down and Travis Ryan does that thing, the Schmeagle vocals, question mark? I don't really know what we're gonna call them. The goblins, the Schmeagles, whatever. And he specifically says Terrasite. That was when I knew. I was like, this is gonna be a masterpiece. Scourge of the Offspring is that big song that everybody loves. It has that really cool tone opener riff, and probably the prettiest yet simultaneously grimiest break in all of the whole album. It's also probably got the most dynamic songwriting with various aspects incorporated, like the synths and the chugs and the blast beats and the cleans and the lows and the squeals. It's one of those songs. They also play around with a lot of fun like vocal layering on this album in the mix, which I really liked. It gives it a lot more depth. It gives it a lot more texture. For example, the song The Insignificance, there's an outro bit where they get like the creepy voice going, talking about like being a virus, and then Travis Ryan like gets layered on top of that, and then it's kind of got this back and forth happening. And I was sitting in my car. Have you seen that meme where John Cena is like jamming? That was me, like going up the highway all the time. It's so good. And after listening to the album a few times, I noticed there's a lot of different things happening with the guitars here too. Like, for example, a Photic Doom has this solo that is really clean in tone, and it's kind of really out of place. And at first I was like, what the fuck? I think I hate this. But I listened to it again, and it kind of gave it a lot more dimension, and it was sort of flattering to the rest of the song that was so grotesque and vile. It was a good break, and then they kind of have that switching back and forth. They layer a lot of different guitars here too as well. They had a lot of coming in and out of like the leads, putting it far away, bringing it up close. And I think that is contrast to previous albums where there's a lot less nuance happening. When they kind of break down a song and they slow it down, and he does the vocals that he's doing, but he makes them a little bit softer, but they're not cleans, but they're not harsh. I've been calling that clean in contrast to his harsh vocals for many moons, but on Just Another Body, there's actual cleans. So now I don't know what to call anything anymore. It was confusing, but it was really cool and such a beautiful way to contrast the album and bring it to a close. Cattle Decapitation essentially stand alone in their own game. And why is that? Through the years of experimentation and niche, they have maybe found their own version of sort of their own subgenre. And I saw this meme like years ago, insert meme here, and I've been laughing about it ever since because it's so accurate. This has ultimately brought them to this very nuanced and visionary point in their career where they have like no comparing counterpart at all, because they sort of started their own subgenre thing happening, and they're basically the king of their own hill. And I think something that I've really liked about this album, and the last three before this in particular, is you can start to see them kind of turn this page into, that was cool. Oh, okay. You know, we're going to sift the turds out of this and get it really clean and figure out exactly what it is that we want to tell. They started giving us those little dollops of melodies more so in Monolith of Inhumanity. And then they really honed in on the like gore with the intenseness of it in the Anthropocene Extinction. And then they got a little softer with Death Atlas. And now this album kind of shows this contrast between what they liked and what they didn't like, and what they kept and what they didn't keep. And you can see it so clearly, and it sort of tells a pretty little story. But because they use so many nuanced aspects, and because they are such amazing musicians, and because they are such visionary creatives, we have such a unique sound here, and they have mastered their own game. and I bow to them for that. So with all of the minuscule adaptations and pieces we see that they develop and that they tweak and that I'm talking about that we've moved around, there's so much here that hasn't changed. You're always going to have Travis Ryan's unique vocals. You're always going to have that incorporated grind. It's always going to be fast. It's always going to be full of blast beats. It's going to be chunky. We're going to have the overloaded bass, that overall cattle decapitation sound and theme of hatred for the human race. And for somebody who's been following them for such a long time, I think this album kind of felt like home. It was so familiar, but at the same time, it was fresh and it was new and it was exciting. They just did such a kick-ass, ear-splitting job dominating the field that they have come into. This is going to be something that is going to overtake the rest of the albums that I listened to in 2023. I loved it. And with that, I'm going to give it a 4.75 skulls out of 5 here today on Overkill Reviews, only because I still like the Anthropocene Extinction just a little more, but that also probably has something to do with nostalgia in my brain. This album was superb. Shoutouts. So first I have Uzlaga with the Sunken Seer. This comes out June 23rd, 2023 on Black Metal Graham. This is Bristol, UK's one-piece black metal project. Last year they had another full-length come out called The Might of Waves, and I loved it very much. It was heavy. It's kind of like, you know, that black metal with the shitty production, and it's a little spicy. It was one of those. Texas's Creeping Death, which is kind of like a hardcore death metal band, have a new album out June 16th, 2023 called Boundless Domain. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in Texas right now. They've got a lot of cool fucking bands that are doing a lot of really cool things. And this is a classic that I loved when I was first getting into metal way back in the day. This is Saturnus. They have a new album coming out called Storm Within. It's out June 16th, 2023. These are the Denmark Melodeath legends that I love, and I hope this album keeps up with the rest of them. So make sure to listen to that too. Thanks for coming to hang out with me today. I hope you fucking dig the new Cattle Decap album, just like I did. Cheers.